All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So today we will be looking at the major markets, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and then I've moved the two Chinese ETFs to the end because really the main story is going to be between the three major markets for sure. So real quick, what are we going to do today? Same thing we do all the time, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly to see how things are setting up short term, We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines, and then we have the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators, okay? Hey, really quickly, if you can please like and or subscribe, it does really good things for the YouTube algorithms. Nonetheless, I sincerely appreciate your time, and just thank you so much for being here and listening to all of this. So, look, let's get into it, right? First and foremost, if you've been watching these videos, I've been bullish the entire month of January, okay? I sincerely, I've said it a couple times, I did not think we were going to get over the 200, okay? Because just zooming out really quickly, all right? It's been a full calendar year, all right? This is the moment where we lost the 200. It kind of gets lost with this line right here, okay? But just roughly speaking, we're in the middle of January last year, and it wasn't until the end of January this year that we actually got over the 200, okay? So monstrous move, all right? And I've been saying it, right? Once all three can get over the 200 on the daily, that completely changes the complexion of the game. That really does put us in this like bull market kind of mentality, right? Obviously, things get better if that happens on the weekly. And again, I talked about that on this other video that I made kind of accidentally, but it was a little more theory, right? But on the daily, all of them being over is a beautiful thing. But, and here's the big but, we still need confirmation, okay? Because just zooming in right here, you can see on Thursday, we close at 11,512. And then if you look at the purple 200, the 200 line, it's 516. So we definitely were close, but not over it, right? This Friday was the first day we got over it, and I for sure need good confirmation on Monday, right? And I need good confirmation because the 200s last for a reason. It's not an easy one. It's been literally a full plus calendar year. And yeah, I want it to break the candle, right? I want to get over this line, hopefully by a good amount, okay? I want at least 50%. If we're going to come down, don't come lower than 50%. We better not go lower than the Thursday, like 11,513 is the limit, okay? From there, if we lose the line, the question really becomes what happens on these, right? And look, I'll say this much. Again, I'm being real honest. I thought we were going to touch the line, come back down, and then bounce back up and hopefully do it on the second time. Because generally that's how it works. Just look at this 100 line right here, right? We touch it, come down, touch it, come down, open above, come down, break it, right? I just didn't think we were going to go flip like it did, right? But hey, it did it, and I mean it was a beautiful run on especially NASDAQ specific tech stocks, right? So again, I talked about golden rule number 1 on that other video. Check it out if you have not. But yeah, I need monster confirmation, putting all of them on the daily, okay? So on the weekly, they are not all over the lines, right? And I talk about it. When the weekly is good, the dailies are fantastic, okay? And this is basically at the lower half of getting over all of them. S&P 500 is in the middle half of getting over all of them. And Dow Jones is on the top of all of them. And we'll go through that shortly, right? But that used to be the story on the daily, actually, right? So the fact that we're moving it over to the weekly should make sense because, again, like I said, the weekly is generally 5 times slower than the daily, right? So yeah, it roughly went from June to now, which is roughly about 6 months, right? But now the weekly is kind of going back into that same story of, hey, are they all going to go over? Or are they all going to come under, right? Like, where are they going to sit? But yeah, I'm real glad NASDAQ is over the 200. Again, I need the next Friday to close up here, right? I need next Friday to close over this, giving us a confirmation because, again, This one closed over but failed confirmation. This one closed over but failed confirmation. This one closed over but, and that's the question, right? Loving the MACD, loving that gradual volume increase, right? It went from that little scare, but then this was even more than this, and this has been the most in this entire view right here, right? So that's good. People are believing in the NASDAQ again, right? And then I also mentioned in the last video, but real quick, look, this 50 moving average line, we basically haven't been over it since the equivalent of the 200 line on the daily, right? So again, the ties between the daily and the weekly just kind of speak to itself like that, right? But hey, look, maybe it's going to be the same thing where, yeah, there was a baby wick thing here, and I know we haven't really tested it since then, but if we were able to fly through it on the daily, it being the 200, maybe we can fly through it this week, right? And actually maybe get to 1200. Because look, red, 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 red. Have we passed this yet? Oh my goodness, we're on the cusp, right? So if, where did this low go? It was 1141. Oh, we're over it. We are over it. It's hard to tell. But again, this, oh no, I got to look at the open. That's why we're not. The open, I'm so sorry, was 11,643, okay? And we're at 621. This red, 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 and then again, red, 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 red could fill really nicely if we get over the 50, make a crack at this thing, right? And that would actually even put us at the top of the main channel right there. So again, just a lot of positivity on this NASDAQ, right? So beautiful thing, beautiful, beautiful thing. So I normally put the Chinese ETFs right here, but I'm gonna do the other ones, just the other ones being the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones before that one. So real quick, QQQ, the exact same story. I'm not gonna spend too much time. It's just a good thing that this has the exact same chart without me having to zoom, right? Look at that, exact same line structures and all that. That's a beautiful thing. Pretty much the same thing as well. This one has actually broken with confirmation the 200 on the weekly. That's a little bit bigger for sure, right? So this actually broke over it. I would call this a doji, and that smashed it. So man, have I not been looking at that? That's interesting. I don't know if I actually remember that from the last couple weeks, but yeah, QQQ has broken the 200. NASDAQ has at least tried to do it this week. So pretty monstrous, actually. Pretty monstrous, if I can Larry David that real quick. But you can see the 50 is still the same story there. But that's actually pretty reassuring. So I do like that a lot. Cool. Let us go. There we go. Let us go into the SP 500. So again, just sticking with the theme, we are well over all of the moving averages. It's a beautiful thing. Again, that's a golden cross when the 8 goes over the 200. And literally, that's kind of the best golden cross you can get, right? When the smallest one does go over the biggest one, right? From there, at this point, look, this is, it's not even as high an RSI as the other one, right? And this one only got to 81. So the fact that we're at 72 is just, I'm liking the MACD still going. I wish it just kind of kept going up a little bit, right? But yeah, we're over all of them. If this is going to come down, I'm definitely expecting it to use the 8, right? I don't want to come use these. And again, it's looking like we're about to golden cross the 20, crossing up on the 50. But yeah, this is a beautiful thing right here, right? And look, that red pretty much into, it actually did, not even pretty much, it filled entirely. So beautiful thing. Okay, so coming to the weekly, right? So we saw that the NASDAQ was a little closer, not even a little closer, it was literally still on the 200 line, right? So that's what I was saying with the NASDAQ's a little bit on the lower side of the weekly. The S&P 500 is in the middle of the weekly, and then we'll get to it shortly. But again, the Dow Jones is at the top of the weekly, right? And once they're all over it on the weekly, my goodness, that's so reassuring for the daily, okay? But yeah, again, the fact that the daily's doing good things is a very nice thing, right? But yeah, this weekly chart's going to matter, right? Because again, when the weekly looks good, I just said that, so I don't need to say it again. But look, I need another confirmation, right? Because this 50, same story, right? It's been a quick minute. And look, it's okay. So the NASDAQ dropped right here. Okay, NASDAQ was unable to really use the 50 as horizontal, right? And then obviously you see it took until April for this thing to lose the 50. So just we're gonna at least start from this point, okay? From this point, we have literally only once wicked it right there. So there was at least a touch on the 50, but yeah, we need a good second week. We need to close it. Where are we compared to this? This thing closed right here. Oh, excuse me. At 40.71. Oh my gosh, we missed it by like pennies, okay? If we can close over that 40.71, I'm sure we closed over this. It does look like that. Yeah, that was 67. But yeah, that literally missed it by 71.70 or at oh man, literally a dollar, less than $1.20. Damn, that sucks. Okay, good confirmation here is going to make me happy. That's the end of that story right there. But again, one more time, I think the real story is just going to be how NASDAQ is down here. Okay, the main line is up here. All right, I'm trying not to zoom out at all. SP500, SPX, is in the middle of all five. And then again, we'll get there shortly, but I'll just at least quickly flash it. This guy's at the top right here, this guy being the Dow Jones, okay? Actually, let's go to SPY. I think that was a pretty good cover of SPX. Again, on the weekly, it's the same thing. On the daily, it's the same thing. And actually, it looks like this is a little higher on the daily, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, gotta love it, right? Those pretty much did the exact same thing, and that is a good thing. So let's quickly get into the Dow Jones. Okay, so Dow Jones has been over them for a good while, okay? We talked about a couple things here. Beautiful, bad scare right here, right? And luckily, and again, when you have 3 out of the 5, that's more than 50%, right? There's only 5, so yeah. When you have more than half the lines up here, it does its own horizontal cluster thing, you know what I mean? And it looked like it wanted to fly. It definitely looked like it wanted to drop. Definitely comes back in and is now back to this where are we moment, right? So we're definitely over the line. Like that's an over. Okay, so first let's see how these close compare to each other. So that closed at 733. That closed 743. Good. Okay, so we're at least continually going up. This doji though, what's going to happen next week, right? Are we going to get a monster push that takes us here? Or are we going to kind of come back to reality and come here? I think that's ultimately what should be happening. Maybe we'll come down here. But this doji on the weekly, it says a lot to me, actually. It definitely looks like this RSI is kind of the worst of it, too. I think the red is actually over the green right there. MACD is still looking pretty good. Obviously, volume still looks good. This is the highest out of this entire view. Kind of the same thing we've said on a couple other ones. But, yeah, interesting doji there. That's for sure, right? Interesting. Again, a lot of horizontal on this 100 line, right? So it kind of goes back to that doji on the weekly. I think if we can start early on the week, we'll go up pretty definitively, or we'll start early in the week and kind of go down, right? But I think that doji on the weekly says we might get some sort of answer on this kind of horizontal trading for a bit. And look, the fact that NASDAQ's going up might be enough to take this one up. You know what I mean? So I think the doji speaks a lot to the weekly. And again, it kind of seems like we might be going there, right? And look, we've tried so many times to get back into the first golden line of trading. All the other ones do have golden lines of trading. We're just, a little bit, not a little bit, we're substantially lower. That's all it is, right? But, oops, not compass, comp. By the way, look at this, okay? I've had this happen accidentally a couple times. Not supposed to be talking about individual stocks here, but yeah, look what happened. You can't break the 100. You try a couple times. You kind of do it here, and then you monstrously do it there, especially when it's tied in the same month when, the indices are going well. And again, I say this, right? When NASDAQ's bringing you 10%, you should kill it. And this one basically made more than 50, but almost doubled, right? Went from 2 to 4, not even almost. Shit, this thing doubled. So look at that. That was not the point of that. That was just a missed thing. And I think I forgot what the point was here. Why did I bring us here? I don't know. Yep, it happens. All right. I could use one more cup of coffee. But yeah, again, let's see what happens here. So where are we on the weekly? We talked about the weekly. Yeah, I think that's pretty good with the Dow Jones. Let's quickly flash our two Chinese ETFs. Again, this is not something I know specifically. However, two things. China's been killing it, all right? And I've actually been kind of using this to look at some like stocks that I wouldn't have before. Wayfair's been crushing it. I don't know if you've been looking at that. That's something I don't cover, but there are a couple. Lee and Neo are two that I do cover. And I mean, I'm telling you that the anything just remotely tied to China has been doing well. And a lot of it is because it's been over the 200, I mean, a little sooner and doing a lot better above it, right? Like Dow Jones, I'm just going to kind of stick with this view because that's the one that's been above it, right? Dow Jones has kind of like tried, and obviously that was in December, and then kind of went back horizontal, right? This guy broke it and ran, right? It went, broke it and ran. And that's why they've been doing a little better, right? So, again, I'm not going to pretend to know what's in this ETF, anything like that. All I'm really doing is using this to gauge stocks that have any sort of connection to China because, you know, shit, just find the connections, make some money. That's the goal of these, right? But again, I don't have too much to say here. The charts kind of say it all, right? Couldn't, does, right? And then from there, use the 8 as a bounce, kind of use the 8 as a bounce. We might lose the 8, right? You can kind of see that this is starting to slope down a little bit. All eyes are going to be on that 20 right there. And we've used it before, right? On this run, you can see we used it there. You know, we used the 50 right there. But yeah, we used the 20 right there, used the 20 and the 8 right there. I'm expecting the 20 to do it. We got a golden cross right here coming up, it looks like, on that 50 and the 200. Let's see if that happens, right? But yeah, hopefully, if this doesn't work, the 50 won't be that far away, right? So, yeah, this still, I mean, relatively looks good, and it's definitely over the lines, right? Where are we? This is looking nice on the weekly, right? Again, it's seeming like it's cooling down, but at the same time, it never really took off. So the fact that it's still a little tight works for me. The fact that we're still kind of holding that upslope works for me. And again, MACD looks real nice. If the MACD was also curving, I'd start to get a little worried. But yeah, this weekly is looking good. I definitely think this hump right here is going to be important. This 3380 test will be pretty big, but again, if we can break it, there are a few more reds right there that'll pretty much take us right to the 100, right? So still a positive week, but a lot of eyes should be on that 3380. Where is that 3380 line? I mean, it doesn't say that much here, but again, it says a lot more on the weekly. And then last on the list is MCH. Oh, I don't think I looked at the DIA. I'm assuming the DIA is going to look the same, though. Sorry about that. Again, this actually looks pretty identical to the last one, right? Again, do I know what the difference is between the two? No, not at all. Do I really care? No, not at all, right? I like that they both look relatively the same. Same basic test on that, same break and run, right? And again, it just says anything connected to China would have done a little bit better than the US, right? And when we looked at the beginning, you know, tech would have done a little bit better than the other ones based on how hard NASDAQ ran up, right? So, and there was a moment where like it was just the Dow Jones stocks that were the best, right? So it kind of kept flipping. But yeah, overall, I hope you're learning. I say it often. If you disagree with anything I say, throw it in the comments. I promise you. You know, I'm not opposed, and all comments actually do come through. So, hey, thank you for your time. Have a great one.